So I'm excited today to divulge my 26 life secrets. My name is Eric Alperin. I'm a bar owner and also a recently published author. I have 3 bars in Los Angeles, one in Austin, Texas, and then one in the high desert of Joshua Tree, so in San Bernardino County, and that bar is called the Red Dog Saloon. My first bar in Los Angeles was the Varnish. It's still alive and kicking, thankfully, after this really crazy 18 months that we've had. Got Chatterbox and Slipper Clutch in downtown LA, and also have a place called Half Step in Austin, Texas. So what was my favorite job or project? Well, I got 2. One, when I was really young, I was acting in high school in the performing arts class, and I actually got cast as a parochial school kid in an episode of Law and Order. I was 16 years old, and the reason I think it's relevant, or at least in retrospect, is it taught me very quickly at a young age about the small ins and outs of what Hollywood can look like and feel like. And I'm glad at such a young age I was exposed to that, because you could go south with some of that. But I think my mother really helped me realize what it would take to achieve a career path in the arts. And that experience was very helpful along the way, because I did go to school to train to be an actor. But then I ended up in the bar business, and I'd have to say that really my favorite project was opening the Varnish. And I've opened quite a few other projects since then, but there was this youthful ignorance that allowed me to continue and persevere. I think every project after that, I knew what was coming down the pike, and that would kind of give you a little bit of anxiety because you knew what you went through the first time. So I really think fondly of the Varnish and that youthful persistence and ignorance about certain hurdles I would have to surmount. So yeah. I love fish. I'm a fan of raw fish, so sushi is I guess you could say would be one of my desert island foods, but I'd also have to give my mom's lasagna a shout out. Big fan of my mom's lasagna. Do I play a sport? I do a lot of adventure sports, so a lot of hiking. I've done some mountaineering, a lot of motorcycling, and some skydiving. Actually, I have over 200 jumps. That was something I took on about 5 years ago, yeah. But I think the most important thing to say, what allows me to be nimble, I think, is all the yoga that I do. So I do yoga 3 to 4 times a week. My most treasured possession, I'd have to say, is my passport. I think that speaks for itself. Actually, before this lockdown happened in January and February of 2020, I actually took a solo trip around the globe. Started from LA to Melbourne, and then up to Japan and through Southeast Asia. And I saw the news and everything that was happening, so I kept dotting my way west until I got back to the States. But yeah, so I traveled the most miles consecutively in my entire life in 60 days to then come home and travel the least amount of miles in a year. If I was immortal, how would I spend my life? Well, I thought about this. I mean, everybody wants to do good in the world. I mean, not everyone, but I would think that you would go like, okay, I'm immortal, so let me do some good. And so I thought I would be a special agent trying to take down bad guys. If I was immortal, I might get shot, but I'd still be alive, or I'd break something, but it would probably heal pretty quickly. It depends what level of immortalness that I have. I also put down that I would try to fly if I was immortal. I'd just keep trying to fly. Yeah, I think I would be a spy, but a spy for good, like a Robin Hood of spies. Well, let's say James Bond with a benevolent streak. How about that? Because I'm a huge fan of Bond. Actually, I don't know a lot of young boys from my generation that are not. I read a lot of Tintin and watched all of the James Bonds. So I think it's maybe Tintin, James Bond, trying to do some good. What do people misunderstand about me? I would say that people misunderstand that sometimes I look or appear a little too serious. I think that's just like my resting face sometimes. I'll just be computing things. I'll just be like really thinking about how I'm going to figure that out. And I'll I sometimes get a, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, yeah, totally fine. My guilty pleasure is cheap, light beer. Sometimes, a lot of the time, American and sometimes Mexican. Oh, well, when I was writing my book on Varnished, I think because I read a while ago Stephen King's On Writing, and he talks a lot about, the process and putting himself in that space to write, and he would drink a lot of cheap American beer. And I can't remember what beer he drank, but I was doing Miller Lite. You can put a lot of those away in an afternoon when you're writing. How do I want to be remembered? I don't know, somebody that didn't sit on the sidelines, that jumped into the ring, that stood for what's right, that had a point of view. Who is my celebrity crush? Well, I'm with a beautiful, gorgeous, fantastic woman right now. And this is a very funny question because we shared that with each other. And my celebrity crush is Penelope Cruz. And it worked out that my girlfriend's celebrity crush is Javier Bardem. So that works out perfectly for us. Yeah. So the hall pass, if it ever happens, maybe we'll run into them at an event and we'll just have to tell them. And maybe they'll be down. Actually, what is on my bucket list? There's an adventure planned, and myself and 7 other people are going to hike Mount Whitney. And Mount Whitney is the tallest peak in the lower 48. It's at 14,503 feet. So, yeah, as I said before, some of the mountaineering and hiking and mountains are, I guess, a sport that I take part in. So that one's on the list this year. We wanted to do it last year, but because of the fires, they canceled our pass. So cross your fingers, October, full moon, October 20th, we'll be up there. Stirred drinks or shaken? What time of the day is it? That's what I have to ask. Because because I want a Negroni in the early evening, and then right before dinner I need a Gibson, and then after dinner I gotta swallow a few daiquiris, and finish the night with just sipping some mezcal and beer. So I guess I'm more on the stirred side with sprinklings of many daiquiris. If I wasn't in hospitality, what would I be doing for a job? I would be a filmmaker. You learn a lot about yourself in any career, and I know that I love creating a room, the design, the feel, the atmosphere in a bar, in a space. I think it is live theater to me. So I would say probably art direction, but more importantly, I would say producer. I'm really really good at the 20-mile high view and seeing what needs to be done and what we need to do to get to the finish line or the starting line to get it open. What's in my everyday carry? Oh, I wish I had it. It's in my my thing holder, but my everyday carry is a pocket knife and tea tree toothpicks. Yeah, I'm in the bar business, and I open a lot of cardboard boxes. It's much more of a utilitarian thing. It's not per se for protection. It's a tool. Opening bottles, opening cardboard boxes, you name it. There's a lot of. You can even use it as a screwdriver for small screws if you do it correctly. Yeah. What is my most treasured industry memory? Well, immediately when I read this question, I thought of when the Varnish won Best American Cocktail Bar. I think that was 2012, and that is an incredible memory. But I backtracked a little bit about what made that moment special, and it really was the toast that we made, Sasha and I, before kicking the doors open at the Varnish on February 24th of 2009. That was a very special night, a very special toast. It happened, like at six. I guess it was 6:55 because we opened our doors at 7, and yeah, that was the beginning of something special. So that is a very treasured moment. There was, I think, about 7 of us in total, Sasha and I, and then 5 staff, and that was the beginning. And the 24th is my dad's birthday, so we toasted with Lagavulin, which you think, well, that's a funny thing to toast with right before you open a bar. But we did because my dad and I, there wasn't a lot of drinking in my house growing up, but when I was in college, I was doing a piece of theater at the Edinburgh Festival, and my parents came to visit and spend a week there while we were performing. And my dad and I bonded over scotch, and we decided that Lagavulin was our favorite at that time. So, because of his birthday, because of Varnish opening, because he's been such a rock in my business proceedings, because he is a retired lawyer, so he's taught me a lot about legal stuff and business. It that night in that moment encapsulates a lot of what happened in the following years. My parents, my brother, my family, but I think it's really appropriate. The people I look up to, besides family, or the person, and I think it's very appropriate for this interview, but is Sasha Petrosky. And if you do get a chance to read Unvarnished, anyone who's listening, or if you have, you'll know that there is one chapter in particular that is about Sasha. And I think that's one of the reasons why I loved writing the book, is because I got to represent him a little bit more, since we didn't have him around long enough for him to represent himself. Do I have a philosophy I live by? Well, actually, I wrote 2 things down for this. Adventurously, I would say that my philosophy is you got to live life like you're not afraid to get a bad tattoo. And I've probably got a couple of them. I'm not going to take my shirt off, but more of you got to be able to jump in and not be afraid to fall on your ass or to make a mistake. And then I would say virtuously is that life becomes easier when you take responsibility for your actions. So I think when every human being gets to a point where they understand themselves, they're for better or for worse, when something happens, that they're actually able to take responsibility for their actions and not feel like that's a weakness. Now, ride my motorcycle. What do I like to do with my time off? Vroom, vroom. Get on my motorcycle. I've been riding for, I guess now it's been about 15 years. Yeah, it's been a while. Right now, I've been on a number of bikes, and I've rented bikes when I've traveled, but right now I have a Ducati S2R, so it's more of a street monster. Yeah, Italian. Oh, where do I see myself in 5 years? Where do I see myself in 5 years? Oh, Tiff, it's been a tough 18 months, as you well know. So I see myself in Colombia. We'll see. Maybe I'll answer that in the question after the next one. Cat or dog? Well, I have to say I was definitely I was more of a cat person. I had a cat named Freeway that I taught to pee and poo on the toilet. So there was a lot of bonding there. Yeah, it's a thing. Look it up online. Potty training your cat, so you don't have to have a litter box in the house. So I do love cats. Although my girlfriend has a little Tibetan Pekingese, and that's a mix of Pekingese and Australian cattle dog. So she's little, but she's badass, and she's a real little toughie. And I love her so much. I enjoy dogs, but I haven't loved a dog like this until I met Yoshi about 14 months ago, when Jules and I started dating. What is something I dream of doing? Well, I'd like to go to Colombia for 6 months and learn how to really speak Spanish well and salsa dance. It's so, I mean, it's beautiful, it's sexy. It's the last stop I made on my trip around the world. So I think it's just always stuck with me. In Cartagena, the Spanish colonial architecture is really special. So I think I still have some time to put into Colombia. I was there for a week, and I'd like to spend more time there. So especially after this year, because things have been tough with business, trying to think of something that will allow my brain and my aura to grow. Because it's no secret, it's been a little stifling for a lot of us this year. So that trip, Colombia, dancing and speaking Spanish sounds adventurous and romantic, all wrapped into one. Well, I'd have to say my favorite book is Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451, and my favorite show. I absolutely loved Breaking Bad. Favorite lyric from a song. I couldn't just do one here, so I'm going to give you two. Well, in a very classic way, there's Roger Miller's King of the Road. And I'd love for you to, when we're not here in the interview, to give it a listen. But it says, one of the lyrics is, I'm a man of means, by no means, king of the road. And then when I'm in a certain mood, a little more, I don't want to say aggro, but definitely a type A kind of brain day. It's BC Boys, Fight for Your Right. And you just always have to fight for your right to party. What makes me truly happy? When I have my inbox is zero? No, that's I'm an inbox zero kind of person, but that's not a really good answer about what really makes me happy. That's just maintenance. What really makes me happy is my niece and nephew. I love them to pieces. My niece is 4, Simone, and my nephew is just turning 2. His name is Marcel. So I'm a very proud, happy uncle. I think I would say to chill a little bit more, and that certain ways of treating your body are not necessary. I mean, I would say like, hey, chill and don't do things like cocaine. It's just not necessary. I see a lot of that in the business, and I don't know. I haven't always been a good person in terms of substances, but I would just tell my younger self like, lay off some stuff. Preserve your body and brain. I mean, now you can't catch me being out later than 11 p.m. and I'm up early, either working or exercising or trying to just stay healthy. So, well, that's the advice I would give. But definitely to relax, because when you have anxiety or you're just stressed out, you don't leave yourself open to possibility. So, chill out. And by chill, I don't mean be apathetic, because I hate apathy. Where's my favorite place? My answer to this is up high. Well, what do you mean? Well, whenever I go visit a new city, one of my favorite things to do is to find the highest point. If it's if it's the Eiffel Tower or a certain bridge or a hike up a hillside or a mountain, I think you get some of the best perspective, and it gives you that bird's eye view of where you're at, and I really feel like it allows you to feel like you've arrived in a destination. Yeah, it's just well because I read your question and I thought, oh, okay, well, what city, what state, what part of the world, and I just thought, well, there's a lot. I don't think I could. It's like if you asked me what, I mean, even though I gave you answers, but I was asking like, what's your favorite movie? I mean, there's a bunch of them. I think it's more of like the feeling that I get and the feeling I want to achieve when I go to a new place or a place in general. I guess you could say like, what's your favorite place, and that would be a feeling of serenity and balance. Hmm. One cocktail for the rest of my life. I don't even know if you consider it a cocktail, but a Campari and soda with a big orange wheel. That was my mother's. Favorite drink? And I think it still is a little bit now, but she doesn't really drink much anymore. Not that she ever really did, but definitely when I was younger, growing up, I I uh, I grew up around a green bottle and a red bottle and a kind of a dark brown bottle, and those bottles were Tanqueray gin, Campari, and vermouth. And I'd like to say that my parents were smart enough to keep the vermouth in the fridge, but a lot of people didn't at that time. But yeah, my mother was a Campari soda person. Of course, it's my pleasure. Thank you. That was it was really fun to think about them. It's kind of like a break from what's been happening. So